Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my impact review. This was a very scatterbrained impact. It doesn't mean it wasn't good, but it was scatterbrained. Things that shouldn't have been done were done. Things that were done weren't either done enough or... Let me get into this review. When you see the opening of the show with Eric Young, Dixie, and Bully Ray, the person that was the weakest there was Dixie. Two things about Dixie. One, she's out of practice. Seriously. And it just sucked. Two, because she was shown so much, people don't want to see her anyway. So that made it worse. But you can say this. Bully Ray and Eric Young sounded very good. And I gotta say this about Bully Ray. He tried to explain what happened last week when they cut the camera and then they went to the back. I'm not saying he did a good job. I'm just saying he tried. It would have been better for Bully Ray to say, I let you go because I don't normally put women through tables. But believe me, if I'm in the mood, I'm going to put your ass through a table, bitch. That would have been better to say. And I know that's being a little graphic in a sense. But it would have made more sense to say that. The way he talked just didn't sound very good. But you can still state that he tried. But he did very well putting over Eric Young. Throughout the other time during the night, he did put him over again. Now, I'm sure people are going to say, well, it wasn't enough. Look, TNA doesn't put people over very well. But when it comes to this, Bully Ray did a decent job. But the person that acted the stupidest amongst these three was Dixie. 12 years in the business when your own website and wiki basically says he's been there since 2004. Dixie, like I said, she doesn't practice and study her fucking lines. Everyone said 10 years. Bully Ray said 10 years. Eric Young says 10 years. She says 12 like an idiot. I'm just saying. Alright. Had to get that out. Opening match. Knockout street fight with Sky and Madison Rayne. Me personally, seeing Angelina Love, she's just beautiful. Certain moments she just looks absolutely luscious. She does. Other moments I just don't know what it is. But when you saw this match, it wasn't... Look, we know we have maybe 6 knockouts, if we're lucky. And when it comes down to it, there's very little they can do that we haven't seen. But this match was different enough that it was compelling. Compelling television. I wasn't 100% bored with this. I'm glad to see a difference, a change up. The last time we had something like this was maybe a year ago. At least a year ago, between Gail Kim and Terrence Terrell doing that last standing knockout match. Well, the last knockout standing, sorry. I'm dyslexic, I say things in reverse. Sorry about that. But you get my point. We haven't had a match like that in quite a while. A very interesting, compelling match. Now, of course, they weren't as good as the last knockout standings match. But it was compelling enough to tell me that whoever's writing for the knockouts now, no matter if it's Russo or not, even if it's Christy Hemme, because I found out from the Slug Daddy that she's now part of creative. Even if she was the one that mentioned it, it was the wisest move you could make, because now there's something interesting going into Sacrifice. Madison Rayne versus Angelina Love. Now, I didn't expect Madison Rayne to lose here. You got to build her up to be useful. If she just lost a match, what would it mean? The concept of the street fight would have been useless. But still, it was good enough that I was interested. And seeing the cleavage of Angelina Love makes me wish I could just call her up and just say, will you marry me? Let me just marry the boobs, even if they are tiny. Anyway, next. The Wolves versus Bromance. We all know the reason why this is being dragged out. It's for Sacrifice to give the Wolves some type of credibility. Only thing I'm saying is this. If they do this before Sacrifice, if they let the Wolves finally get their due before Sacrifice, what was the fucking point? That's the only thing I'm saying. And I know a lot of people are saying they should have dropped it now. They should have dropped the titles to the Wolves now. Going into Sacrifice will be something more. No. When it comes down to if you wanted to drop the titles to the Wolves, you should have done it 2 weeks ago. Then you could have built a storyline going into there. Now, I know that's stretching it, but still, it makes sense. So going into Sacrifice, if they got the titles now, would be stupid. I'm sorry, it would be. So, I wasn't really interested in this match, even though the Wolves did very good. It was Bromance who brought it down. You got two jobbers with a third jobber who's doing nothing. Now, EC3 and Rockstar Spud dealing with Willow. I'll say this about Willow. He's still compelling. Jeff Hardy is trying so hard to make Willow interesting. Rockstar Spud, you are a dirty hamburger that basically kills my soul. No one's going after Willow? What the fuck? Dudes, he is trying his hardest to be different. I commend him. More power to him. I know this is an old WWE guy. Nobody wants to see a WWE guy go over. Especially over the younger talent. I understand that. But he's making compelling enough that hopefully the younger talent will be interested. And when the match came over, going to the theme song with Spud doing the same thing as EC3, looking back, that was funny. Spud has always been funny to me. Tell me if you really think Spud is funny, because I'd like to know, because this guy is funny. But in the end, before the heel, what was it? EC3's signature move now to basically mess up someone's heel, he was stopped by Kurt Angle. Yeah. Kurt Angle's back. Scares the shit out of EC3 because basically Taz says he shit his shorts. And then we had the in-ring segment of a Kurt Angle. Crowd really liked it. And I have to say it wasn't badly done. But it doesn't lead into a match in Sacrifice. Maybe we'll find out there's a match in the go-home show. Because that would be the best thing for an EC3 unless they're going to put over Kurt Angle, which really upsets me because EC3 had great momentum and then they just dropped it. Now, here's the match that's going to make me angry. It's making me itch right now. Tigre Uno and Sonata in the 2 out of 3 match. That I'm angry because of what was done in the show. Now, Sonata's video package was beautiful. It reminded me very watered down version of Bret Hart dealing with Shawn Michaels. Seeing Bret Hart running over in Calgary in the freezing cold, building up his muscles, getting ready to face a you guys know what I'm talking about. Shawn Michaels made Bret Hart look defeated, made him look weak. This was a very watered down version of that. Of course, Tigre Uno's nothing to Shawn Michaels, but it did remind me of that. You can build a person up using a Rocky type of video package, which was actually quite nice to see. I enjoyed it. And the match they both had was not bad. Sonata lost, which makes a rubber match. The best of 3 hopefully will be on, not on, my guess is they're going to do it. I believe they're going to do it on the Go Home show. I'm hoping they will do it on Sacrifice. That was not the problem for me. Kenny King was! Motherfuckers, what the fuck? Breathe, my friend, breathe, breathe, breathe. See it like this, ladies and gentlemen. For 3 months, they have been promoting Kenny King, the King of the Night. They show him with a whole bunch of honeys in Las Vegas, walking around drinking some booze. They finally decide they're ready to bring him back, but he has no match the first time he comes back. He doesn't have a match the second time, I believe he comes back. He has a feud, not even barely a feud, with MVP. And then after that, nothing. And now going into the next week, just 1 week away from Sacrifice, there's no feud with him and MVP. He comes out alone, looking Mac Daddy without no honeys. If you're going to sell someone as the king of the night, a Las Vegas playboy, he needs... This is what I say to TNA if they're watching this. TNA, I say this right now. Wherever you go, if it's Orlando still, if it's around in the different states, find 2 women in the crowd who looks fucking hot. So fucking hot, you cannot deny it. Pay them $20 to $50 to go on stage with him, just to walk out to the stage with him, stop when his theme song is going, then head to the back. That's not so fucking bad to do. You need to promote this man as something credible, something special. You brought him back with this promos, with these vignettes, and you do absolutely fucking nothing. His commentary made no fucking difference to me. I am angry that he has nothing to do. It doesn't matter if he's going after the X Division Championship again. Who cares? You bring him in looking good and you do absolutely nothing with him. Made no fucking sense. When MVP had to face... I love Austin Aries. He's a great wrestler. He does great segments. He does great promo segments. But he wasn't one that was just brought back with a whole bunch of vignettes and had a brief feud with now the director of operations. So when MVP puts over Eric Young, which he does pretty well, Austin Aries comes out angry as hell and said, "Give me something, I'm gonna fuck you up." What did MVP say? "I'll oblige you." Now they have a match next week. Why? I'm not happy Austin Aries was not on television. It made no sense. But this makes no sense to bury Kenny King for Austin Aries when you've already promoted Kenny King. You gave him vignettes. You gave him airtime. You just gave him a brief feud 2 weeks ago, and now you do absolutely nothing with him. It's stupid. It makes me fucking itch. I'm sorry. The last 2 matches is the tables match. Well, the open challenge tables match with Robert Roode. I'll say this. I'm not interested in Bully Ray. Just not. But they've at least given us a storyline to go with this damn garbage. Bully Ray, part of Aces and Eights. I have to go through the history. Loses Aces and Eights. Has a feud with one of his former members. Got his ass handed to him by his former members. Decided to turn face. 100%. Takes out the woman that's supposedly, this is supposedly the reason he created the Aces and Eights in the first place, because he felt disenfranchised by Dixie Carter. And to stop another Dixie Carter from being created in a Robert Roode, he takes him out. So now Robert Roode, who's angry that he loses a possibility to become an owner, he takes away the one thing, just like him becoming an owner was the most important thing to him. Tables. The Table King, in a sense, that's what he was trying to relay in a Bully Ray. The King of Tables. He's trying to take that title away from him and make it his own. Now I can say this. That this would, in a basic sense, make sense. Now I'm stretching it, yes. But if you're stuck holding the cards of a guy who for 2.5 years was working with the worst storyline TNA history, was not allowed to take a break to give the crowd some time to get away from him, no matter if he's under contract or not. Take a break, come back and then do this hot bullshit. This is what we're stuck with. And as much as I don't want to even care about it, at least it's done well enough that it makes sense. So when Gunner and Robert Roode had the match, which wasn't a bad one, Bully Ray coming out makes sense. Beer money coming soon. James Storm coming out screwing over Gunner made sense. The video segment in the back with Gunner and Bully Ray saying, "You know what? This is the first table you ever gone through. I've gone through hundreds. Let's take these guys out. Me and you versus them." This is how they can bring beer money back. At least a small taste to see if the crowd really wants them. And if these guys go beer money, I promise you the people are going to scream for them. Now finally, match. The last match of the night. Eric Young and Abyss. I'm going to say what I need about the match and then my thoughts about Eric Young. the match itself, it's a Monsters Ball match. It wasn't bad. It put over Eric Young pretty well. In the end, with the thumbtacks, with the barbed wire, with the sticks, the crowd got into it to a point, went up and down, but in the end, they were happy to see Eric Young win, and he retains. The question is going to be, is he going after is a heel Samoa Joe that was mentioned by MVP going to come after him? Will it be a weak heel Magnus next to go after him? I don't know who next. It could be anybody, but I think those two will be it. Now I want to say this before I end my review. I saw Fool Killer 99 and the Slake Daddy, sorry. I saw their reviews. And the way they described Eric Young and what people thought of him, saying that he's a Santino Marella. And everybody, well, they're not saying directly everyone is wrong about that, but they don't agree with that point of view. And I do understand them, and I do agree. For myself, I never said that he was 100% a Santino Marella. I said they're doing what they did with Eric Young like they did with Santino Marella in 2011. A comedic character. And Eric Young is one. A much more better one, let's be honest. Because when you compare Santino Marella to an Eric Young, totally different. Eric Young came in as a credible wrestler. Santino Marella came in as a fake wrestler, well, a fake fan that came in and won the IC Championship. That is how he first came in. I believe it was in 2006, I believe he came in. But the point is, Santino came in differently than Eric Young. And I've always said this about Eric Young. No matter what they throw at him, he still manages to make something out of it. The only difference between these two is that Eric Young has done things straight, while Santino's always been a comedic, basically a comedic character. But in 2011, they gave Santino one shot in seeing if he could actually be serious. And he did. But they weren't willing to pull the trigger on giving him the chance to get the World Championship. He's never held it. The most he's held is the IC Championship. Eric Young, on the other hand, has held every title, including the women's title. He has. He's held every damn title. The only one he hasn't held, other than the World Championship, is the Women's Championship. And I'm not talking about the Tag Champs. I'm talking about the Women's Knockout Championship. Or did he? I can't even remember. It's a possibility he did. But the point is, the man can be very serious, but he can be highly comedic, and he can make it work no matter how shitty it is. But you gotta compare them. Eric Young has been on a very silly streak for quite a long time. And then in the last, and this is for me noticing, if you're going to be really serious about, have you seen when Eric Young really began to turn more serious? Simple. 10 months ago when Aces and Eights took out his foot before they went under. Remember, they put him to the wayside. They broke supposedly his heel. And he came back really more serious. Now after that, he went off to his show, came back, then he started dealing with Joseph Park. Yeah, he was still comedic, but he was still with him. And he noticed that there was something going on with Joseph Park. Then he became still silly again, becoming the scientist and trying to make Joseph Park more understandable as the Abyss. Eventually, the Abyss came out. Now that was almost 3 months ago. I say he started becoming serious roughly 2 to 3 months ago. Not a couple of weeks ago. He became serious because he, like I said, what was going to happen with these two guys, that when the Abyss came back, he would use Eric Young as a catalyst. Just like when it came to Kane with RVD. When Kane revealed himself, he destroyed RVD and then went after him. This is exactly as I said what happened. So essentially, when it comes to Eric Young, he is nothing like Santino, but he has had a similar rise to him. And just in this one instance. And do I have a problem with that? No. Is Eric Young tough enough? I believe he is. And I believe that if they allow him to make this work, he will make it work because he's made everything they've thrown at him work. So I hope you enjoyed this Zane view. Please give me a comment below. And I will be getting my I think I'm going to be doing debate of the week on something. I can't remember what yet. Have a good day. See ya!